This PS4 Slim runs hot. We're going to resolve that issue today. These are the tools you're going to need. A fine tip Phillips screwdriver, a T8 tamper-proof Torx bit. It's the star bit with the hole in the middle. A flat tip screwdriver, some silver paste for the processor, some rubbing alcohol to clean off the old paste, and some cotton swabs to make it easier. Okay, to start with, this is the front of the PS4. We're going to go to the back side right here. There's a panel where the hard drive is. You slide it open, I'll pull it out. There's a screw that holds the hard drive in. On the side here, you grab the tab, and you slide the hard drive out and you set it to the side. Next thing is you have to peel the sticker off on the back. It voids the warranty once you peel this sticker off. And there's the T8 tamper-proof Torx screw right here. Take it out. Next thing is we got to pop the cover off. We're going to start on the back side here. And this bottom cover, it pops off on both sides and slides off the front. So start pulling on it. Use your flat tip blade. Work it around the edges. Just be careful so you don't break nothing. We come off around this side. Keep popping it up to about this point. Now we want to kind of hold it open so it doesn't pop back in for the other side. Kind of loose and slide it off the front. Now that covers off. We have dogs, so that's probably why this one has been screaming at us. Now we're going to take the other side off on its cover. Same thing, start at the back. You'll have to pop its edges up. Got the corner popped up. And it'll slide off the front also. So we'll work around the edges here. Get it held open. You can use another screwdriver to hold the plastic for you. Stick it in there to hold it. And then the same thing on the back here, you'll just pop the plastic off. Never mind, we'll go to the other side and pop it off. It snaps off the front on the top. And then slides out. Okay, next we're going to unplug the Wi-Fi antenna. Be very careful pulling this wire off. And we'll unloop it from everything and get this wire out of the way. Lay it to the side. You can take the screw out. Remove the whole Wi-Fi antenna and get it out of the way. Okay, now we're going to pop all the ribbons out. You want to be careful, you don't want to tear them up. Hold them by the little blue part and pull them back. Just lay it to the side. Do this for every one of them. This one has a lock. You gotta flip it up. Once you flip up the little flat part, that one slides out, and then that one just pulls out. Now, there's 32 screws. All these little screws got to come out. We're going to take every single one of them out. Okay, these screws here that are in the disc reader, You don't have to take these 4 out. We're going to pull the last 2 out of all the others. Oh, and there's 3 different sizes here, so I would mark them somewhere. I didn't mark them. I'm going to have fun putting it back together. And we're going to flip it over. We're going to take all these screws out. This one's the Torx bit, or these 3 are. These are 3 different sizes too, so you might want to lay them out in a way you can remember. It's been a little hot, there's discoloration. I was trying to get this piece of metal off here. I missed 2 screws. They're down here by where the hard drive goes. Let's get these 2 out. Maybe. There's one of them. And we'll find another one in a second. Now this will pop right off, or it's pinned right here on this rope with these little grommets. You'll have to pop it off those. Make sure you didn't miss any screws, don't force it. We got that off. Oh, there it is, found it. Now this here, this is the wires to the fan. You have to be very careful with them. You can pull these wires out pretty easily. You got to disconnect this real nice and gentle. There we go. We got those loose. This is what's holding the processor onto the board, or the heat sink onto the processor. So we're going to release it. Move that off there so we don't lose it. Now, fun part. We're back on the side where we took the piece of metal off. We're trying to pull out the disk drive. We have to remove this small board here. It has the ribbon on it. We're just going to move it like that. You got to remove this little one too, and this clip here. And just take it loose like so. We'll be careful with it. Now everything should start to lift up and out of here. Okay. That other antenna is hooked right here on this side. Right down in there is where the antenna connects for this one in the back. We want to pop it loose. There we go, we got it off there. We need to remove this connector here. It has 4 wires on it. We're going to be careful with it also. We finally got this little connector off here. Now we're ready to lift everything apart. When you go to pull it apart, there's going to be some tension. If you look down in there, you'll be able to see where the power supply is connected to the motherboard. You just have to give it a little bit of pull. You just want to be careful with everything when you're coming apart with it. You don't want to force nothing. Right here, we're caught on this little grommet. We got it loose. And now we're free. Here's our heat sink. You can see what it looks like. It's full of dirt. We'll set it to the side. Here's our fan right here. The heat sink was covered because we have dogs. We got to watch this wire here. We're going to have to remember to put it back through. got it free. This wire here, that one that was a pain in the butt to get out, we're going to unloom it and set this off to the side. Now we're going to get our fan out of there. Phillips screws. And out comes the fan. It's a little bitty fan. We got grime up in here, grime on the fan. We're going to get everything cleaned up and then we're going to go back together with it. On this part, you're going to be careful. You're going to pull it apart. There's little clips on the back here around the ports. You slide off that metal. You don't want to damage your circuit board or anything, so just be patient with it. There we go, we got it apart. Here's where the silver paste is melted in here. We've got to get all of that cleaned up and none on it, and all this cleaned up right here. We've got to get all the old paste off of the processor and off of the heatsink. Q-tip, a little bit of alcohol, and you're just going to rub it. You don't need to push real hard or anything, just rub it around. The excess around the processor, I have a little plastic clip here so I don't tear nothing up. You can just barely push on it and it comes up in clumps. Same on the heatsink. Just a little bit of alcohol on your Q-tip and rub it all off. You need to get everything all cleaned up almost perfectly. And on the paste, you want to put some on it, but you don't need a lot. You can have too much paste. We're just going to run a little tiny square around it just like that and we'll be good to go. And when you go back together, you don't want to rub that paste everywhere. So you take your three outputs here, and you're going to line them up on the piece of metal, and then you're going to come down and line all that together and hold it. And we'll take our two pieces we took off that were holding everything together. We'll put this back in its hole. Get our band here. Get it back in. Don't want to push down because you'll push everything apart. Start the screw into this side, start the screw, and then we're not going to screw them all the way tight on the first go. Go back and forth a little bit. Screw them until they're tight. Don't torque the crap out of them. Now that they're tight, we can pick this up. It's all being held back together. We're going to go back with the fan. There's little tabs that line up. Line the tabs up and then your two screw holes are there. If you remembered what screws that were in it, put those screws back in it. I don't remember what screws were in it. I'm thinking these two are too long. Nope, that was a screw. Got our fan in, now we're going to put our power supply back in. Clip that there to hold it. We need to run our wire down through all this. Now remember that brown wire we took out. We got to re-loom it back through everything. Keep it out of the way. Okay, once you get it loomed, pull everything up and pull it into place. This little gray wire here should be in the little gap there. We can flip this over. Well, maybe we can. Hold everything together, flip it over. This here snaps together, and then on this side it has to go over both, so make sure you're snapped proper when you put this on so it can go over both pieces. And then we can put this screw back in. Okay, we're going to put everything back together. We're going to put the motherboard back on. We have our two USB ports that have to go in the ports back here. We have this antenna wire that has to plug on the inside on the bottom, so we want to be careful when we do this so we have room. We'll get squared up back there, And then, oh, and we have to get our prongs put in back into our power supply. Make sure your brown wire that you've worked so hard to loom through comes out that hole. You want the fan wire out this hole. While we have room to get our fingers in there, we're going to hook this antenna wire back on that little bitty tab. We're connected. We're connected. Let's slide it down. I'm going to bend out the plastic back here a little bit. See if our USB port's lined up. One did, the other didn't. There we go. We didn't break nothing, did we? No, we're in. And then we'll push back right here. You want to be careful touching printed circuit board. You can mess them up. Usually try to touch where the screw holes go. Push it in, pull up a little, we're back in the power supply. The speaker here we took out, we didn't have to because we didn't remove the disk drive. We're going to pop it back in. It has a little tab, it goes in, that screw we took out, and that'll get our ribbon in position to go back in the board. With these ribbons, be careful. You can peel the gold on one side, and that'll screw the whole ribbon up. So you just want to be gentle when you're putting them in. After the speaker, we'll put the Wi-Fi antenna in. It has little tabs it lines up on before you can put the screw in. Remember, it laid across all the top of the ribbons and across the board. We'll just rerun it about the same. Okay, we screwed the speaker back in and get the ribbon laid in here. We put the Wi-Fi antenna back in and keep the wire hanging out here. We have our pink wire that we worked so hard to get loomed through. We're getting it set up. Now we need to hook up this brown wire that we loomed through. We're going to hook it into its pins. We got it put in. Okay. When you're going back together with it, with this one here, the 4-prong one, this is a disc tray. Make sure you get all the wires on the other side where you won't be able to put your hard drive back in. Get all the wires over here on this side out of that tray. Oops. And then bend them around this way on that plastic. If they're in the tray, you will cut them. You will not be able to get your hard drive back in. And we're going to pull all the ribbons back. Now we take our piece of metal we had that went over everything. We lay it in here. It'll line up on its outside tabs. Make sure none of your ribbons are trapped. Make sure this wire here isn't trapped for the fan, and we lay it in there. Once you have your piece of metal put on, we got to put all these screws we took out back in. Hopefully you marked them. I didn't, so this is probably going to be a little pain in the ass, but we'll get it done. We got all the screws in. It wasn't too hard. The silver coarse ones go into the plastic frame. The little black fine thread ones, they go into metal, into the board. Once you get all your screws back in, we're going to hook all our wires back up on this side. Hook our fan up. This side of the way. Hook our speaker up. Remember to slide these into the black line or as close to it. Don't force them if they don't go. If they feel like they're all the way in, they're all the way in. The ribbons are a little bit delicate. You can damage them. This one here, it had the lock, so we'll flip it up. Slide the ribbon into position and then push the lock down. Slide that one in. All those are slid in. Here's our Wi-Fi antenna. We'll run it across. Back in the same path it was in. We want to be careful hooking it up on this little bitty pin so we don't bend nothing. Alright, wrapped around that there and under there. Now to hold this in place and out of the way, I'm just going to use some Scotch tape. We'll tape it across here at the ribbons just to keep it down. There we go. Now we're going to flip it over, put all the screws back in the other side.
Here's where it works bit.
Almost got all these back together. Now we can put our covers on. Remember from the front, this is the front where the disc drive is. And go, well, from the back, slide it over the back and then snap everything down to the front. Okay. I'll give it a once over on the bottom, make sure you hooked everything up so you don't have to take it back apart. Ribbons, we got that one hooked up, this one, okay, we look good to go. Okay, this one slides off the front and then everything snaps in the back. So our front's on this side right here. Slide on the front first. And then work everything, and then on the back we just want to make sure we get over all of our outputs. Everything's snapped back together there. We're going to put in the tamper-proof screw back in. Okay, we're on the last step. We've got everything else back together. We're going to slide our hard drive in, put its screw in, and slide the plastic back on. And then we will see if we did everything properly. It'll either work or it won't. Well, here's the test. Let's see if we did everything right. Came on. We haven't gone to instant blue screen yet. And everything worked proper.